The NFL draft is 13 days away. So we're going to do a full round one mock draft. Not to be predictive, but what would I do? How would Forno draft for all 32 teams? Let's break it down. Welcome to the Real Forno Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Forno Show, hosted by the one and only Tyler Forness. A to Z Sports sought him out to be their Minnesota Vikings reporter and NFL analyst. And he's a proud contributor over at SKOL North's Purple Daily. Tyler is also the captivating host of The Good, The Bad, and The Hungry on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, and a founding member of Vikings First and SKOL.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first episode of the week of the Real Forno Show. Sorry about the delay. We get to blame Darren because he made producer Dave move halfway across the country. My name is Tyler Forness. With me, as always, in the top left corner, he is producer Dave. Glad to see you have made it. You're safe and different background, only temporary, but the fun never stops here in Vikings First and SKOL. We are going to have some fun with you here tonight. And we're going to do a full round one mock draft. And the best part is Dave and I figured out a way for me to control the simulator, so I don't have to go like this and try to read it anymore. Because for some reason, the program Dave's used, which gives us this beautiful backdrop and display, likes to be blurry on my screen whenever we start recording or go live. I can't explain it. I can't fix it. It's just stupid. But we fixed that part. I have on my screen over to the left, I can see in perfect clarity, and so will you. And we're going to have a lot of fun here today. Dave, other than the moving just sucking because it's a move, nobody likes it. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm sore. I'm still trying to recover.
Well, hey, you are not in a house with one daughter, but two
daughters now.
Little bit of extra fun. Hopefully they don't gang up on you and start making fun of you. That's my job. Well, we're gonna have some fun here today, Dave. Let's get the screen set up. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this the way we're doing it, everybody does mock drafts, and there are so many different ways to do a mock draft. I don't think that gets talked about enough. You could do it predictive, where I think this is going to happen. You could do it, I think this is what should happen. You can just do stupid things to explore scenarios. I like to do that with Vikings mock drafts. Well, what happens if this happens? What would the Vikings do if this situation occurs? If they trade up, if they trade down, if they stay pat, if they go running back in the first round, if they completely ignore defensive tackle, what about wide receiver at 24? Like, there's so many different ways to kind of go about it because you want to identify, if this happens, how are we handling it? And the more you can address those certain issues, the better prepared you can become draft day. We are not the Minnesota Vikings, but I try to approach it from that perspective. I want to be as informed as possible, so when that time comes and I'm on that Purple Daily draft stage, I can be like, this is what I would do. This is why I would do it. And it's boom, boom, boom. I'm ready to rock and roll. This mock draft is going to be, this is what I would do. I'm going to put myself in the GM chair for all 32 teams, and I'm going to tell you how I would draft for all of them. Now, there will be plenty of picks you don't agree with. There will be plenty of picks you do. But that's what makes this fun. It's an art form. There is no true right or wrong answer right now. You can only go by the information you have gathered and interpreted. And that in itself, it's a challenge. Dave and I can watch the same exact thing and come away with two completely different conclusions.
And we do frequently. Yes.
Yes, we do. But that's what makes this fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I take this very seriously, but in the end, it's not very serious. It's a great time. I love watching prospects. I love talking about football. I'm incredibly blessed that this is my career, but I'm not always right, and neither will you. And I try to not speak with concrete conclusions. I speak what I believe in, towing that fine line between confidence and arrogance. But that's the thing. If I don't sound confident, why the hell would you want to listen to me? I wouldn't want to listen to somebody who doesn't even sound like they believe what they're saying. Nobody wants to listen to that. They want to listen to somebody who believes in what they're saying, because then it gives them credibility. So that's how I try to approach it. We're
And
gonna
to
have
back
fun.
it up with, some facts and research and
Mhm.
all sorts of stuff to, add credibility to it.
Absolutely. And we're gonna add credibility here. We're gonna do a full first round mock draft. Dave, are you ready?
I am ready. Welcome to Vikings First and SKOL's Mock Draft Mondays. Who will the Vikings pick? And who's your favorite choice?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to do a mock draft, and it is going to be a lot of fun. As you can tell, hey, I'm moving the mouse. Ha! I have the power today. We're not gonna be completely brief. I'm gonna kind of explain my process with every pick. I'm actually gonna pull up another window because I built my final big board last night. It is a top 100 big board, and I'm very, very excited about it. But I want to have it open and ready to go so I can kind of talk about, hey, this is where each player sits. This is kind
It's
of
a
why I'm
big
making that pick.
board organized by talent or by draft projection.
Oh, it's just how I see these players as talent.
Okay.
It is
So
completely
if you
my
see
opinion.
somebody like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, they may be up ahead of Cam Ward or way ahead of Shedeur Sanders, right?
Yeah. Travis Hunter's my number one player. Abdul Carter's number two. You're going to see that interchanged. Some people have Carter 1 and Hunter 2. They're the two best players in the class, and that's a very consensus take. My biggest hot take is I have Shamar Stewart at number 3. I'm obsessed. I love him. He's incredible.
Okay.
He has work to do, but this is
yesterday on Who Will Be King. Pay is very much, or not Pay. It was Foster with the Lions was very much fascinated with Stewart.
Here's the thing: some guys don't finish. But if you penetrate and you create havoc, I can teach you to finish. A hell of a lot easier to do that than teach you how to create havoc. That's why I think Derek Harmon might end up going before the Minnesota Vikings. So, yeah, that's my biggest hot take. Savon Revel Jr., the East Carolina quarterback, is 6th on the big board. Incredible football player. Really good. But, yeah, some interesting stuff. I have 3 wide receivers in the top 12. I just don't care. They're just good football players. But I also tend to skew wide receivers a little higher anyways because of like how I view them. I just view wide receivers in such high regard, and I view them as such a high importance position. I think that naturally just skews them up. I think it's an internal bias I have to fight a little bit. But we'll end up talking about the big board later. Oh yeah, Quincy Riley, 20th on the big board. I don't care. Fight me. I love that guy so much. All right, let's go to it. Number 1 overall. And this is where things are going to get really interesting. I'm not taking Cam Ward. I'm taking Shedeur Sanders. I'm taking Sanders for 2 reasons. 1, I think Sanders is just slightly better at quarterback. And 2, he is a significantly better fit for how Brian Callahan wants to run an offense. He likes, Shedeur Sanders is not Joe Burrow, but he plays in a very similar way to Joe Burrow. Good processor in the pocket, really good feel for pressure in the pocket, makes tight, accurate throws with precision. He does so many of those things that Joe Burrow is so successful at. That's how Brian Callahan wants to operate. I think Sanders is a great fit. And fit is arguably just as important, if not more important than talent, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. So I like Cam Ward. I think he's a good football player. I think he's worthy of the first overall pick. I'm not taking him at 1. I'm taking Sanders. And if his name was Jaden Johnson, and he was not under the shadow of Deion Sanders, I think people will be looking at him with a significantly different lens. And that's an unfortunate reality, but there are so many positives to being Deion's kid. He's not going to be fazed by anything media. He's Deion's kid. He knows what's up. He knows how to handle himself. I love Sanders, and I would take him at first overall. He won't go first overall, but that's what I would do. Number 2, Cleveland Browns. To me, this is easy. I think that they're going to take a quarterback later in the draft. I think they'll end up with Jalen Milroe personally. I would not touch Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is not in my top 100. I don't like him. Don't like him at all. And you know what? You guys know me. If I have conviction on something, I'm going to share it. And I get a lot of crap about, oh, you said Bo Nix was in a first, second, or third round pick. I'm like, I still believe that. He needs to do more than put up barely better numbers than Russell Wilson from an underlying metric standpoint for me to believe. But we'll get to that at a later date. The Browns, they need a weapon. And I think they love Travis Hunter at wide receiver. Plus, he's a really good corner. And they can mix him in, but they have a really good corner room. So they can throw him in like nickel and dime packages, 30 snaps a game, and use him. So I'm going Travis Hunter. This is just the best player in the draft, and you get him at 2. It's not a steal, but it's a steal. 3, the New York Football Giants. This is where I go Cam Ward. The reason why I go Cam Ward with the Giants is this is a good football player. Not only is he a good football player, Dave, but he also has that skill set that Brian Daboll knows how to develop. Daboll gets so much credit, and deservingly so, for developing Josh Allen. And when you have a reputation of being able to elevate players like that, yeah, give him another one. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can do it again.
Right. I'm tracking with your line of logic here.
Cam Ward is not Josh Allen. But spiritually, you have a big arm guy who can do all these things and needs some refinement. Trust the guy who developed the best of the bunch, Josh Allen. 4, New England Patriots.
And hold on. And we remember when Josh Allen came out in the draft.
Yeah.
He couldn't hit the broad side of a barn.
It was the Anthony Richardson thing.
He had a freaking howitzer for a gun. He could throw it 90 yards.
It was...
And that was the challenge.
Yeah. For him and Richardson, too, which is why I'm not giving up on Richardson. He's actually working with one of the coaches, like quarterbacks coaches, that ended up fixing Josh Allen's mechanics. The big thing was they would flash this brilliant stuff where they could throw 50 yards down the field with perfect placement, but they couldn't hit a slant. And if you can fix some of the nuances, you're going to get the big flashes. But you have to do the basics first. So I'm still in on Richardson. And I won't be out on him until he proves that he is just not worth continuing to really focus all your energy to develop. Because we knew he was going to take a lot of time. And being injured in his first year did not help at all. But if you have that,
he needs to come next year to KOC's school, QB school of reclamation.
Please, I would take that.
JJ McCarthy's backup. Yep.
Use him as a wildcat kind of quarterback, and just yes, please. 4, this is easy for the Patriots. They just take Abdul Carter, second best player in the draft. They need an edge rusher, and they get one who profiles just like Micah Parsons. They wore the same number at Penn State. They had the same trajectory at Penn State, starting at inside linebacker, moving to edge in their final year. And they play so similar too. Like, if you can get Micah Parsons at 4th overall, you're jumping for joy. 5th, Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to take Tedero McMillan here, but I think you can get a really good receiver at the top of the 2nd round. You can't get impactful defensive tackles here. Now, full disclosure, I don't love the defensive tackle class like a lot of people. Mason Graham is 19th on my board. I was not the biggest fan. And when you kind of look, there really isn't a great defensive tackle. You might be able to get one of those at the top of the second round. So I'm kind of talking myself in circles here because I almost said, you know what? I might not want to take that guy. But there is one other player that I think is on the board that, you know what? Sometimes you just can't help yourself and you can't pass it up. I'm taking Ashton Genty at 5th overall. Ashton Genty, he's special. A really, really good football player. A guy that profiles closer to LaDainian Tomlinson than anybody I've ever seen. The jump cuts, the ability to maneuver in space, the ability to break tackles. He's special. I don't care that he played at Boise State. Watch his film against Penn State. He still ran for 5 yards a carry when they were just destroying him. He torched Oregon. It's a good football player. 6, Las Vegas Raiders. They need a bunch of things. Corner, I think if Savon Revel is there at 37 when they pick next, that they'll jump on that. But I think they're going to go wide receiver here. Tedero and McMillan's on the board. They're desperate. They need somebody on the outside. They traded Devontae Adams last year. They got decent draft capital back for him, which is good. But McMillan's a special player. You don't often see guys who have the size of Mike Evans who can move and glide with grace in open space. And that's what McMillan can give you. The 31.5 arms are a little concerning, but I'm not that worried about it. 7, New York Jets. Well, they're not that short. They're 31.5 inches, but 6'5", you'd expect 33, 34. So they're a little short.
They're short for his height. Yes.
Yeah. New York Jets at 7. This one's interesting. I think he can go a multitude of different spots, but they need a playmaker. And McMillan's off the board. I would have probably considered McMillan here, but I think Tyler Warren would be my pick. You get a guy who he's kind of like TJ Hawkinson, but he was a high school quarterback. And he's still learning some of the nuance of tight end, but you can use him in unique ways. He's really good up the seam. He's really good on the outside. You can use him as a power slot or inline. You can do everything with him. And having that kind of weapon will be really good for whoever ends up playing quarterback. They might have considered Shedeur Sanders here, but he went 1st overall. 8, Carolina Panthers. This is a really tough spot for them because you would maybe consider trading up for Abdul Carter because you need an edge rusher. Tedero and McMillan's off the board. I have Emeka Egbuka and Luther Burden at 11th and 12th on my big board, but even so, I think that you're in a spot where you can trade down and get those guys, but I don't think anybody's trading up. So we got to look at that from this perspective. And I'm going to go with the player that is 3rd overall on my board, and that is Shamar Stewart. This is a special football player. He played at 285 and was incredibly explosive. He was 281 at the Senior Bowl. So like that weight was legit. He wasn't like bulking up. And then he was at 267 for the combine. So basically he spent a month cutting. Which, okay, an athlete cut 14 pounds in a month. That's maybe slightly more elevated than you like, but it's also, who cares? He's a special player. Explosive, physical, powerful. And the way Texas A&M wanted them to play on the defensive line did hinder some of the production numbers. Some of it was also he struggled to finish. I can teach a guy to finish. I don't want to teach a guy how to get penetration and create havoc. He already has that. So Shamar Stewart at 8. 9, we're going to go edge rusher again because you know what? This team needs, not defensive line. This team needs an edge rusher. This team is obsessed with one type of edge rusher. That's Mykel Williams. Williams, he kind of plays like Jadeveon Clowney. I don't think he's quite the athlete, but he's almost 6'5", 265 pounds. He's got 34 and 3/8 inch arms, and he will out leverage you. He will out length you. He will out power you, and he can even show the ability to do a little bit of like 1.5 or 2 gapping. Dave, he can handle a double team at 265 pounds. That rocks. I think that's great. All right. Plus, Linky Loomis is obsessed with drafting these kind of guys. Peyton Turner, Marcus Davenport, Like if Shamar Stewart was on the board, he'd go. But I really like the fit. I really like the pick. I'm actually trying to see like where I have Michael Williams on my board. I can't. Oh, he's at 17. All right. Chicago Bears with the 10th overall pick. Offensive line could be addressed here. You could go defensive line, and that's actually where I'm going to go. We're not going to go Mason Graham because I don't love Mason Graham. I love Kenneth Grant. And I'm going to go Kenneth Grant because they have Gervon Dexter, who's an interesting guy. He's almost like an edge rusher, but he also plays like a 3 technique. He's 6'6", 315 pounds. He's got really long arms, and he's got the ability to really hold himself at the point of attack. But if you get a guy at 340 who can also do some stuff like a 3 tech, that would open things up across the board. Dennis Allen loves big athletes, and he's going to get one of the better ones in this class in Kenneth Grant. 11, the San Francisco 49ers. There hasn't been an offensive lineman yet in this draft, which is really, really weird. So we're going to go offensive line for them. We're going to go with Will Campbell. No matter where you want to play him, I think he can thrive at tackle, even though he's like first percentile wingspan. 33-inch arms at his pro day and shorter at the combine and a different number at the Senior Bowl, which is funny because it's the combine and Senior Bowl use the same people to measure. But the significantly different numbers are just wild. It's something like scouts have talked about where we just don't know what to believe anymore.
There's got to be a better way. And it's how you measure. I've seen them putting the arm against the wall and measuring, and it's to judge. I don't know. Go to a tailor shop. Have a tailor measure it. They know how to measure arm length.
I know. But these guys, it's like a scouting service. They do it all the time. It's just weird. 12, Dallas Cowboys. They need to get wide receiver help. They need a running back. But this is also the spot where the Dallas Cowboys just continue to build the offensive line. Let's take a look at the offensive line. And I think there's one guy that might profile better at guard, Kelvin Banks. We're going to give him Kelvin Banks Jr. They like to take tackles and move them inside to guard, and it's hard to argue with the Cowboys' success. Zach Martin was a tackle. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Tyler Smith was a tackle. He's been great at guard. He's also kicked outside and tackle and been just fine. The Cowboys love to draft players on the interior consistently.
It's been their tradition, like the Vikings have had a tradition at wide receiver and defensive line-ish. Yeah.
13, Dolphins. I want to go Malachi Starks for them, but kind of looking at how the Dolphins like to play everything, Jahdae Barron, I think, makes a ton more sense because I think he's more of like the Minkah Fitzpatrick kind of player, which they have prioritized. They obviously drafted Minkah, and then Javon Holland was there, but Malachi Starks is so much better than Barron, in my opinion. So we're going to go with Starks. I think he can do some of those samey things, but it's not like an identical, if that makes sense. All right. We're at 14. The Colts, tight end is such a need for them, but first round tight ends often don't pan out. When you need a player like Chris Ballard needs a player to thrive and succeed now. They need to win games now or they're gone. Jahad Campbell, my 7th overall player in this class. This is just a fantastic, fantastic football player. I can't speak enough positives about Jahad Campbell. If he falls to 24, it's a sprint to the podium. If I was one of the scouts in the draft room, I would be yelling to Kwesi, take Campbell, take Campbell, take Campbell, take Campbell. Like, that's my dude. I think he's special. He would have been like a top 10 pick in like 2003. Remember, like Brian Urlacher, he was kind of a safety convert, so he was a little bit of a weird projection. But the ability to have size and movement skills with speed, be able to run the pole in Tampa too, he can do those kind of things. And that is special in today's NFL because you know what? We have so many 222-pound linebackers. They just can't fit the run to save their life. Chaz Surratt, Brian Asamoah. He can do those things. So Campbell to the Colts. 15, the Atlanta Falcons. Let's take a look at where I'm at with edge. Fourth edge rushers coming off the board. And as you can tell by kind of looking at the PFF numbers, I view this class a lot differently than Trevor Sikkema, who builds this. I have a lot of respect for Trevor. He's a phenomenal human being. We just differ on prospects, but you know what? That's the joy of it, right? So we're going to go Nick Scorton, Texas A&M. They had him gain a bunch of weird weight this year. If you want to really see what his full juice is as a pass rusher, high recommend you check out his 2023 tape at Purdue. A lot bendier, a lot more explosive, but he still showed plenty of that at Texas A&M this year. And in the pre-draft process, he's slimmed down and looked a lot better. So Nick Scorton. All right, this is where the Mason Graham slide stops. I think at this point, I feel really comfortable making that bet. I just didn't love him like everybody else did. I think that there's some real concerns, especially with physicality in the trenches. If he gets off the ball really fast and gets on you quickly, I think he's really, really good. But there are some lingering concerns with physicality that, to me, just push him down a little bit. Where if he can fix those, he can be like an elite level player. But I have too many questions. The Cardinals, Nick Rollis and Jonathan Gannon running that system, and Gannon being a Zimmer disciple, you get a penetrating 3-tech. You can do a lot of things with it. So I think this makes a lot of sense for them. 17, Cincinnati Bengals. Get offensive line. Armand Membao. He probably does not fall this far, but we have not, as you can kind of look, drafted a ton of offensive linemen. I think Kelvin Banks fits better with projecting inside the guard than Membao does. I would keep Membao at tackle, but you can play him at guard. And I do think that the Bengals might end up playing him at guard just to get their best 5. But he's a long-term tackle, and he can be a really good one. He had some of the best tape all year at right tackle for Missouri. Not a lot of fun to watch Missouri film, but he was a joy. 18, Seattle Seahawks. These guys need offensive line. It would have been great, just great, to have one of those guys end up falling. Quite frankly, when you look at the offensive line class, it's not great here. This would be a really nice trade down spot. I really like Ariante Ursary, and I think he'd be great in that system. It's a super wide zone. They only ran like 22.2% of gap. Clint Kubiak did it when he was at the New Orleans Saints last year. Tyler Booker, to me, is out. Tackle, Abraham Lucas looks healthy. Charles Cross is really good. But Gray Zabel, it's too high for him. I would not take him there. But I do like Donovan Jackson. And we're going to actually go with Donovan Jackson here. They're desperate. They need to figure out ways to protect Sam Darnold. And Jackson has the movement skills to be a really good guard. I don't like taking guards in round 1, but sometimes you pigeonhole yourself, and that's where the Seahawks are at. They're in the midst of this weird rebuild, like retool. They're in such an odd spot. But Donovan Jackson, 18th overall. 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is an interesting spot. What do you do? Linebacker, not really a great one. DB, what does corner look like? Is there a good press guy? Not really. Not in the spot where I really feel comfortable taking one. So I think you default to edge rusher. And double check my edge rankings because I think I have Donovan Ezeraku ahead of Mike Green, and I do. We're going to go Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College. More of a speed rusher, which is a profile that Todd Bowles really likes. And I think he can make a difference on day 1. I don't think he's going to be more than like a 6 or 7 sack a guy right away, but I think he can grow into that double-digit role where you want him to be. Plus, there's a potential Shaq Barrett could end up coming back. He wanted to return last year, and now I think he's a free agent, and he is primed to probably return to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if that hasn't already happened already. 20, Denver Broncos. I released a 7-round mock draft talking about running backs, and I had the Vikings taking Travion Henderson in the second round, 62, which I got in a trade back. He's my running back 3. I love Omarion Hampton, but for what Sean Payton likes to do, I don't think that fits. we're going to take Travion Henderson. The Broncos have talked extensively about, hey, we want a joker. We want a player that can elevate to the next level. We want a guy who we can just give the ball to. Alvin Kamara was that guy for the Saints. So now you have Henderson. And I think Henderson can do a lot of those same things for you and give you the ability to take something next level. So Henderson to the Broncos might be a little high, but I just think it fits with what Sean Payton wants to do. And I don't love the board here anyways. This is the point of the draft where it does not matter that much. And this is where things get interesting. 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers going quarterback. I don't care that says 101, Jalen Milroe. We talked about the Josh Allen archetype earlier in the show, Dave. Jalen Milroe runs a 4.4, has the vision of a running back, is 6'1", 230 pounds, can outrun you, can run over you, and has an absolute hose for an arm. And you could see from the season to the Senior Bowl to the Combine and the Pro Day, he's significantly improved his mechanics. You continue along that path, and you give him the Jalen Hurts development plan. He is basically the Lamborghini version of what Jalen Hurts is. You can take that talent to another level. I'm willing to take the bet. The Steelers desperately need quarterback. Mike Tomlin loved Malik Willis 3 years ago. Now he gets the supercharged version of what Malik Willis was. Jalen Milroe to the Steelers.
And it
22.
Still puts Aaron Rodgers waiting to decide.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to hear about Aaron Rodgers until after the draft, at the earliest.
Mm-hmm. All right. Wide receiver, tight end, defensive line. Is there... Now, I look at running back, and I'm like, oh, Omarion Hampton's on the board. What a perfect fit that is. And you know what? I'm not even going to think twice. We're just going to go Omarion Hampton. Because I thought, well, Will Johnson, but we're not taking it for me. We're taking it, we're like what Jim Harbaugh do. This is what I would do. I think Omarion Hampton's a phenomenal fit there. And just let him run gap stuff and just bull over people. Like, they're going to run the football. You have Justin Herbert, you're paying him $1 billion. Not actually, but metaphorically. And you're going to run the football. You're going to continue to pound the rock. Get the guy who's really good at it. 23, Green Bay Packers. Wide receiver, edge, and corner. Premium positions. Guess what? There are premium football players available. I think this is the Will Johnson spot.
Not a number one ranked punter.
Look, the fan in me wants to do that, but I'm trying to be an objective analyst. I can't do that. I can't give them a punter in round one. I'd love to, but we're going to try and be real here. Now we're at the Minnesota Vikings. To me, Will Johnson's just a slam dunk for the Packers. He's really good in off coverage. He can do a little bit of press stuff. Great ball skills, read and react. Just, if he didn't have a turf toe injury this year, he would have probably been top 10. But the Vikings, let's take a look at the board. Jahdae Barron, Mike Green, Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, Walter Nolan. I cooled on Walter Nolan a little bit, but I'm still high on him. Nolan right now is 26th on my big board. He needs help figuring out how to do the things that he's going to do in the NFL. He wasn't asked to do them in college. He wasn't asked to be a point and shoot player. Like, be that one gap 3 tech. He wasn't asked to do that. That's probably his best role in the NFL. He can slant, he can stunt, and he proved that time and time again, which is going to help with Brian Flores because he loves to stunt. But at the end of the day, Walter Nolan is a really good football player. And I think you can continue to build with him because he's a hyper athlete. He's very young. And rave reviews this draft process after some questionable stuff that you hear kind of behind the scenes before that. So that's a good thing. But I think we know, Jalen Walker's still on the board. I forgot about Jalen Walker. He's going to go in a couple of picks. I guarantee you that. Kind of just looking at everything, it boils down to one thing. 3 deep. Maximize J.J. McCarthy, Emeka Egbuka. Kevin O'Connell, loves to have his receivers be able to do a lot of things. Justin Jefferson is a capable enough blocker. Jordan Addison stinks at it, but he gives effort. Emeka Egbuka doesn't just give effort, he's good. He kind of plays the game like Cooper Kupp, conceptually, spiritually, but he's not Cooper Kupp. He's going to compare more towards his former Ohio State teammate, Terry McLaurin. Just a guy who just does everything really well. Smooth, polished, has some explosiveness to his game, great route runner, creates after the catch a little bit. A well-rounded football player that's honestly been boring. Well, boring no more, Dave. He's here. And I think this is how you create 3 deep. What do you think? Do you think maximizing J.J. McCarthy in this way is the best route to go?
Well, it's one of them. If it works, it's great.
Dave, you can say you don't like it. That's fine.
B-Flow may be going, I get all the rest of the picks now. Kevin, sit down. It's hey, I understand the logic. You know, I would have gone Gray Zabel, but that's me. But I love my big round bellies.
Mm-hmm.
Or a big round belly on the defensive line. But it makes sense. We need a true wide receiver 3 that could develop into a 2. It's something I could go for. I don't think fans would be overly upset with it. So let's see how it works out.
Yeah.
It's not like we're drafting the number 1 punter.
Yeah, no joke, right? 25. Houston. I don't know what they're doing in the offensive line. They're just kind of getting bodies. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to give him Josh Simmons. Wait, do I have Simmons over Connerly? Reading is hard for me today.
Okay. Well, yeah, Connerly's always been talked of as a move in the guard.
No, I would not move Connerly to guard.
Okay.
Connerly to me is a wide zone tackle, which, you know what? Like, if he falls like round 2, the San Francisco 49ers should jump on him because I think it works. You put him at right tackle and maybe he can take over for Trent Williams at left tackle. He does not have a good power profile, but he's a wide zone tackle. And Trent Williams just he's just different.
Trent Williams.
He's so different.
He rocks.
Mm-hmm. 26, Los Angeles Rams. I don't know why tackle's on there unless you think Rob Havenstein is not going to be back next year, which, okay, that makes some sense. But to me, Jahdae Barron is one of the better players in this class. I don't love him. I actually have him 33 on my big board, but it fits so well with what the Rams want. And they need a real upside in that secondary. So Jahdae Barron it is. This is where Jalen Walker comes off the board. He could go top 10. I like Jalen Walker a lot. Walker currently sits 20th on my big board, but man, I don't know. I'm not sold on him being this just elite player like a lot of other people are, which is fine. We have different opinions. It's an art form. But I think at the Raven spot at 27 makes all the sense in the world. 28.
And the Lions fans were just crying. You took their pick.
I don't know if I love him with the Lions as far as a fit. I can tell you, Mike Green is the top remaining edge rusher on the board. He's probably not passing their character checks. So you can kind of take him off. Mike Green, there's some stuff floating around about him. I won't go in depth because I haven't been able to confirm or deny it. But people I trust, yes. So edge rusher to me is off the board completely. Wide receivers a possibility. Matthew Golden, Luther Burden the third. You could maybe go offensive line, linebacker. This is just a really bad spot for the Lions. It just sucks. So you know what? We're going to go best player available. And the best player available on my board is actually Savon Revel Jr., but we're not going to do that. We're going to go Luther Burden, who's number 2. They need some wide receiver depth. He gives them the ability to be like that short yak guy. He can also go over the top if you need him to. Jameson Williams is a field stretcher. Amon-Ra St. Brown is your possession guy. Let Luther Burden just do fun things. And hopefully they can kind of be a little creative in the passing game to be able to do that. Ben Johnson with Luther Burden would have been fun as hell last year. Washington Commanders at 29th. This is where I'll go Savon Revel. Because Dan Quinn likes to do a lot of that cover 1, cover 3 stuff, and I think he fits really, really well in that profile. Revel's just a really good football player. 6'2.5", 200 pounds, 32 and 5/8 inch arms. Really good athleticism and recovery. So when he's in his back pedal, he can kind of flip the hips and be able to go attack the ball. Had some really, really nice reps doing so against Michigan in 23, which was the best competition he played in his entire college career, and he was very good in that game. Look, I don't know if I would let Revel necessarily fall this far, but man, there's just not a lot of really, really good fits I like for him compared to other players, and sometimes talent just falls. There's always a guy or two that fall. Now, Revel's probably going to go around this spot anyways, but I haven't viewed much higher. But like the Packers, I think Will Johnson just fits what they want to do better than Revel does. And cornerback, like there weren't a ton of great spots for corner here. So Revel ends up falling. Like that kind of stuff happens. 30, Buffalo Bills, edge, linebacker, cornerback. I really want to give them a speed rusher. I honestly think this might be the Mike Green spot. Mike Green, he's a better run defender than people want to give him credit for. I didn't love his tape like other people did. Some people have him like top 10. Mike Green for me is 39th. But still, he's got a lot of explosiveness. He's got real juice as an edge rusher. And there's a lot to like. Odie just farted. He thinks that pink is stinky. Ooh, boy. But I like it. I think it's a good fit. And you have Greg Rousseau on the other side, who's much more of a power rusher. Attack you like one-on-one instead of try to go around you. Now you have the guy who can go around you. And I think that'll work really well to complement each other. 31, Kansas City Chiefs, Walter Nolan. I don't know if you can take anybody other than like a really good interior guy. Chris Jones is already in his early 30s. You need to have somebody next to him. And Walter Nolan, being able to learn from Chris Jones in some of those areas, I think can really take things to another level.
The rich getting richer, yes.
Yep. 32, Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 1 punter still on the board.
They love to go trenches. So we're going to, and they love to go, they love to take high upside players and they love to just keep fortifying and fortifying and fortifying. But they also have been known to take wide receiver. I don't think Golden fits with how that team is built right now. So I would say no there. Darius Alexander is an interesting one. But kind of looking at the board and how it's structured, edge might be more of a priority, but I don't like James Pierce very much. He's like about 50 on my board. All the athleticism in the world. I didn't love the film, and there's a lot of character stuff. So I'm going to go Derek Harmon. And that'll finish up the draft. I think Derek Harmon's a really, really good football player. And he can do a lot of different things for you. And there you have it. First round mock. I'll read it off for the audio listeners, and then we'll wrap it up here. Tennessee Titans take Shedeur Sanders, number 1. Cleveland Browns take Travis Hunter, number 2. New York Giants take Cam Ward, number 3. New England Patriots take edge rusher Dual Carter, number 4. Jacksonville Jaguars take running back Ashton Genty, number 5. Las Vegas Raiders take wide receiver Tedero McMillan, number 6. New York Jets take tight end Tyler Warren, number 7. Carolina Panthers take edge rusher Shamar Stewart, number 8. New Orleans Saints take edge rusher Michael Williams, number 9. 10th, the Chicago Bears take defensive tackle Kenneth Grant. San Francisco 49ers take tackle Will Campbell, 11th. Dallas Cowboys take offensive lineman Kelvin Banks Jr. 12th. Miami Dolphins take safety Malachi Starks 13th. Indianapolis Colts take linebacker Jahai Campbell 14th. Falcons take edge rusher Nick Scorton 15th. The Arizona Cardinals take defensive tackle Mason Graham 16th. Cincinnati Bengals take offensive tackle Armand Membu 17th. Seattle Seahawks take offensive lineman Donovan Jackson 18th. Tampa Bay Buccaneers take edge rusher Donovan Ezaraku 19th. Denver Broncos take running back Travion Henderson 20th. Pittsburgh Steelers take quarterback Jalen Milroe 21st. The Los Angeles Chargers take running back Omarion Hampton 22nd. Green Bay Packers take cornerback Will Johnson 23rd. Minnesota Vikings take wide receiver Emeka Egbuka 24th. Houston Texans take offensive tackle Josh Simmons 25th. Los Angeles Rams take cornerback Jahdae Barron 26th. Baltimore Ravens take linebacker edge rusher Jalen Walker 27th. Detroit Lions take wide receiver Luther Burden III 28th. Washington Commanders take cornerback Savon Revel Jr. 29th. Buffalo Bills take edge rusher Mike Green 30th. Kansas City Chiefs take defensive tackle Walter Nolan 31st. And finally, the Philadelphia Eagles take defensive tackle Derek Harmon 32nd. I need a sip of water.
But it was a good draft. I understand the logic. Now, we'll save this draft and see how it actually plays out versus reality.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting because this is, to me, what I would do, not what I think will happen or what should happen. It's how I view the class and how I would handle the draft based on what each team needs and if I was their general manager. And I think that's important context.
But that's mostly, I mean, everybody that does this exercise generally is doing it for themselves. Even if they're trying to say, hey, I think the GM of Green Bay will do this, or I would do this, they're still doing it. And it's a fun exercise to see how you would fill in, how you view other teams in the league, what their needs are and their styles and what they're looking for, and how you would approach it. I think it was good exercise. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. That's our show. We're going to be back next week. We're going to start wrapping up this draft class and really projecting forward for the Minnesota Vikings. We're so close, Dave. We are so close. And I'm really excited. We're going to have the Forno team. We're going to talk prospect breakdowns. We'll break down my big board, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Maybe a guest. I think we'll do a mock draft on Wednesday night, the date before the draft. Last year, we had a couple people join the show, a couple of my favorite people in the industry. Maybe we'll do that again. I'm not 100% sure. We're going to have a lot of fun. Sorry about the lack of content this week. It was a little chaotic with Dave having to move, and we all know that's Darren Campbell's fault. Yep. So we're gonna blame him. This is karma for him not being able to make so many shows this year. But that'll do it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Please hit that button up at the top. Support our friends at Underdog Fantasy. And we are going to be back hard next week. There will be a two old bloggers this week. Yeah, regular schedule. And we may have some extra stuff because it's getting close and we feel bad about not giving you something on Monday and Wednesday. So this is why you want to hit that button in the top right corner, the little bell, ring it, because it tells you when we go live and we're going to be ready to go. I'm Tyler. He's Dave. Thank you so much for joining us on a Friday night. And SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications. It helps us grow this community that we all love, our Minnesota Vikings. And on behalf of Tyler Forness and myself, Dave Stefano, thank you so dearly for watching The Real Forno Show. SKOL, everyone!